Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Doing something a little different today. As you probably have seen if you watched any of my other videos, they've all either been me pedaling or paddling, hence the name of the channel, Paddle and Pedal Productions. But I'm doing something a little different today. First of all, I haven't been paddling a lot. It's been super dry here in Texas, no rain, really hot, middle of summer, and a lot of the lakes are low, the creeks are almost non-existent. So I've kind of been riding more, even though it sounds crazy to ride in this heat. But anytime I get into something, I kind of go whole hog, and I'm really focused on riding right now, and I'm really enjoying it, which means I'm also watching a lot more YouTube videos about the thing that I happen to be into at the moment. So I've been watching YouTube videos of mountain biking, gravel bike riding, working on bikes, that kind of stuff. And in all of that, I found a couple of channels that I really enjoy, one of which is Burn Peak. It's a guy named Seth who lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and his channel's phenomenal. He's got tons and tons of content. He's got a couple of channels. One is where he flips bikes. He takes old bikes and soups them up, fixes them up, teaches you how to do it, and then sells them, and then or gives them away because he's that kind of cool guy. And then other stuff is him building this amazing park in his backyard. He lives on a kind of a undeveloped piece of land in the mountains, and has just the perfect place to build mountain bike courses. In all of that, watching his videos, I noticed a bike hack. He does bike hacks where he shows all these cool things you can do to make life easier when working on bikes. And I noticed one that I know that so far all the stuff I've watched from him, I don't think he knows. So I'm going to show this to you and him, and maybe he can take it and add it to his arsenal of tricks of the trade. I learned this at the bike shop I worked at back in college in the late 80s, early 90s. And have used it for forever, and it's super easy. And when I show this to people, it kind of blows their minds the first time they see it. Some people are not even familiar with the tool you need for it. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about a very simple tool to solve a pretty simple problem. The problem is zip ties, tie wraps, these things. Getting them tight around something isn't always easy. Getting them nice and snug can be a bit of a problem. And I've seen Seth kind of pull, use pliers, a couple other things, and that works okay, but I've got a better solution. And all you need is something that I know he has because I've seen him use it, is a pair of these. We call them third hand tools. They're also called cable pullers. They're used to pull the inner wire of shifter or brake cables and get them nice and tight and snug whenever you're installing brakes or shifters. And I'll show you how they work, kinda. I'll mock it up here. And then I'll show you how these relate to a bike hack for zip ties. I'm gonna get the camera turned around, get it set up, and show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Got everything set up. I'm going to show you how these things normally work. It's my first bike hack or working on bikes video, so go easy on me out there, guys. But how these things normally work. As you see, there's a couple of pivot points here, and when you first start to squeeze them, this little jaw binds against the top of this plate. That allows it to pinch your cable. It pinches the cable, and then after it's pinched, it actuates this pivot point, and this bar extends outward and pulls away from this joint here, kind of like this, and then pulls along. Hope you guys can see that okay. So the way it's used in the bike industry is when you want to tighten a cable when you're installing an inner wire or a cable into a derailleur or brake is, sorry, it's the wrong angle, but on the back side of this, when I slide it on, those jaws right here are pinching the cable, and I'll go down here. Now that it's pinched, as I continue to squeeze, you see this bar start to extend, and you give it a little pressure, and it pulls this nice and tight. This whole system now is nice and tight. You get that inner wire nice and tight. Then with your other hand, you can use an Allen set to tighten down this binder bolt. And that's how you install either brake levers, brake cables or shifter cables traditionally. So how does this apply to zip ties? Well, I'm going to change my setup and I'm going to show you. Okay, got the setup changed. Let's say I want to install a zip tie on my frame here for something. I want to hold something in place. got a couple here, they're white. Maybe that'll make it easier to see. I'll try that. So I would go around the frame. Let's go this way. Go around the frame and through the zip tie like you normally would, and pull it kind of snug. But now I want to really snug it down. Let's say I'm lashing something here that I really want to stay in place. Well, how do I get it to be nice and tight? That same pinching and pulling method applies to zip ties. You can pinch the zip tie and then pull against the pull against this I don't know even what you call this thing, this little piece that goes through. I'll call it a knuckle. So in practice, this is how it works. You grab it and you can see maybe that it's grabbing the zip tie nice and snug, and then if you listen, you can kind of hear the clicks, and you can pull it really tight. It's so tight that it actually deforms the zip tie. But now this thing is snug, not going anywhere, nice and tight. You can cut it off at a nice flush angle with some good flush cutters, and that is about as clean as you want to get it. It's not going anywhere. I can't even hardly twist it. It's even going to be tricky for me to cut it off without damaging the paint, but that's what good flush cutters are for. But that's the bike hack. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope it gave you some ideas on other ways to use tools. Hope you at least learned one thing or another. Anyway, thanks for coming along. See you on the trails or on the water. Take care.